Hello, everyone, and happy Halloween! Sorry, I'm a little sick. My throat kind of hurts, which is pretty bad timing, but I did want to really make a Halloween video. Originally, I had like a plan to do like a Halloween playthrough and like upload them at midnight, but I kind of thought of that like halfway through October, so I knew I wouldn't actually finish the playthrough, so I kind of did something else. I made my horror movie list. It's something I wanted to do anyways because I think it's good to keep track of movies and stuff in general. Um, as you can see, I have 218 titles. This is probably wrong. I think I've seen more horror movies. It's just that either they were pretty like meh, and so I didn't actually like remember them, and I'm sure there's like some actual good ones that I just don't have on there because yeah, it's I've been watching them since I was a kid, so it's hard to remember every single thing you watch. Obviously, 218 titles. This is gonna take forever, so I'm not gonna go in too much detail. I'm just going to briefly say what I think about it. And also, it's good to know that, like I said, I've been watching them for a while, so I haven't watched some of these in a long time. And my opinion of them today could completely change, but it's just based on what I like remember of the film. Um, Also, obviously, I'm not a movie critic. I don't have any like a real background in critiquing stuff, so it's more of just my opinion of how of the plot and how it affected me and how scary I thought it was. Basically, I won't really talk about how it was filmed and stuff unless it like really bothered me. But usually, I don't notice that stuff. Also, randomly, I'll have like background music. I think I'll do that for most of my stuff now. Like even my reviews, it's kind of like boring just hearing me talk blankly. So I'm just using some royalty free music, which is obviously non copyrighted. I'll have the playlist linked below along with the list. But you can actually I guess you can't see the title. But yeah, it'll be linked down below. Yeah, so I'll just go through them. Maybe you can find a good horror movie to watch for Halloween or whatever. I just thought it would be fun, and we're doing alphabetical. So to start it off, the 28 or I guess the 20 blank later series. These are like infection slash zombie series. I thought they were pretty good. Like six, it might seem low to you, like 6 out of 10, but six means it's like good, right? It's above an average movie. It's just that I never really cared about zombies. Like I've never ever felt scared of them. Like I love playing zombie games. It just doesn't scare me. And I get it. The 28 days later isn't really zombies because I believe they like charge at you and scream, and I think they make you like really angry. I don't know. It's been a while. But I do remember the 28 weeks later being like less good. So that's why I pretty much lowered it. Yeah, I don't know. Zombies just aren't really my thing, and I do compare like infected movies to zombie movies because they're just basically like a new type of zombie, right? 2LDK is actually a hilarious movie. I kind of just like randomly remembered it before doing this. It's basically about, if I remember correctly, it's a Japanese like comedy horror, and it's about like two actresses who are roommates in an apartment, who are kind of like who both I guess auditioned for the part, and they're kind of like fighting for it, and it gets like really bloody and stuff. It's hilarious. I would definitely recommend it if you're looking for something funny. I actually had that on DVD because when my dad left for Japan, I like took like a big chunk of his DVDs, and this was one of them. This is hilarious. And I guess seven, like if six means good, seven would be great. I guess I don't know if it actually deserves a seven, but again, if I look back to it and I really enjoyed it, I'm just gonna give it a high mark. Anyways, right? Maybe I should do this to not spoil stuff. 30 Days a Night. This is a classic one, classic vampire thing. It might be like I really did enjoy this too. It's based. Oh, it's right there. It's based in Alaska, which has like 30 Days a Night, and that's when the vampires come out, and it's sort of like a survival thing. I thought it was pretty great. Again, haven't seen it in a while, but that one stuck with me for a while. I actually do really like vampires. Maybe nowadays I don't really like them as a scary thing, more of like an interesting drama stuff. But yeah, this was really cool to see. A little cheesy, and I remember not enjoying the ending as much, but it's fun. It's a fun watch. The classic Nightmare on Elm Street. I actually haven't like watched any other ones of these, and I watched this when I was a kid, but I remember it being really fun and stuff. I think definitely after watching it, I remember like I kept waking up in the middle of the night because I was scared to dream, and I think that's a really cool concept, right? A horror movie where like it kills you in your dreams, which like it's something that will make you stick. And Freddy was obviously a very charismatic figure. That's why he's like still so popular today, right? Um, so yeah, I think this one's pretty great. Though I'm pretty sure most people have probably seen it or like some iteration of it. Um, but yeah, I definitely should probably see the sequels. I just haven't gotten around to it. I basically have like this big watch list of movies, and I kind of just like use a random number generator and get like a random one whenever I want to watch a movie. So maybe I'll put it on the list, and maybe I'll RNG hit it. I don't know. I think it's a good plan when you have like so much you kind of want to watch and you just don't know how to pick. It's pretty fun. Next we have Slit Mouth Woman. This is sort of like a slasher, Japanese slasher. Now it wasn't amazing from what I remember, but I just think the woman was very spooky. You can kind of see her, but she has like these really like weird eyes through obviously contacts and the big slit in her mouth. And there was a time like I kind of grew out of it, but when I was a kid I was really scared of like my like super fear was okay, this is kind of loud. I'm gonna turn this one a little bit down. There you can see the title. um but yeah, when I was a kid, like my greatest fear, which you'll probably see when we come to the movie in specific, was spooky ladies. Like everyone had like their one thing that they're super scared of. I was just terrified of scary ladies. Like I don't know why. I was just scared of like the spooky ladies more than men, and so this kind of like hit me with it. It wasn't as amazing, but like it probably got boosted because of my fear of them. So yeah, watch it if you want. It's not amazing. But speaking of amazing, I really like this. I might be highballing the shit out of this because I gave it a 9 out of 10, which is like, I think is like a must watch, like an actual like classic. This is Korean. My Korean like knowledge for horror movies isn't too great, but I'm pretty sure if you ask like someone what's their top 3 Korean horror movies, they would say this, The Wailing, and probably like Train to Busan. Even though I don't really like Train to Busan that much, I actually don't know if I put that on the list, so I might have to do that after the recording. But yeah, I think this is a great one. It's very rewatchable. I think because I'm pretty sure when I first watched it, again as a teenager, I didn't really get it, so I had to like rewatch it like a couple months later, and you kind of get more of it. It's a drama, and I really am a drama sort of person. So if you like that, like it's very thematic, like atmospheric. That's what I'm looking for. I think it does have jump scares, but like they're good jump scares. Like usually I don't really like jump scares, but like that was my opinion. But I kind of grown to like change it because what I don't like is like jump scares where like someone's opening a door, then someone like touches their back or whatever, and the big jump in the music and whatever, and it's just like the person's dad or something. It's like some stupid shit like that. It always makes me like feel bad for getting scared. but like actually like jump scares that are meant to be scary, like that aren't cheap. And I feel like this one had a couple of them. Again, it's been probably like 5 or 6 years since I last saw it, and sure, I'm probably highballing it because I'm not a not a real critic, but I absolutely love this movie and would recommend it to anyone, as long as they're fine with like foreign movies. Because I know some people aren't, but there might be a dub of it anyway since it's like so big, right? So I guess you can watch that. ABCs of Death 2. I still don't know how I haven't watched number one, but this is basically a anthology film where each like director gets like a letter and they have to like create a short like horror story based on a word that starts with their letter. It's like alright. I really do like anthology horror movies. I think they're like, because I think short stories or short horror movies are on average better than like normal horror stories, just because like I think fears like it's something, it's kind of hard to like hold throughout a whole like hour 30-minute film, but like in short bursts, since they're all like unique stuff, it's pretty like it's a much easier to do it, right? And this one wasn't great, right? But there's like some really good ones, some creative ones, and then there's some not so good ones. But I did overall enjoy it and gave it a 6 out of 10 because I thought it was pretty good. Alice Sweet Alice is actually something I watched this year, I believe, or last year. I think it was this year. It's a slasher film. Now I wasn't too big on slasher films for a while, but I've kind of like grown to like them more, especially like this year after watching some of these. I thought this was pretty good. Nothing amazing. I think the best part is the reveal who the killer was, because I'm usually good at guessing who the killer was in movies, but I didn't, obviously, and I thought it was like really well done with the reveal and the follow-up kill. Like that's probably the best part of the movie. But yeah, this one was alright. Alright, that's good. Obviously Alien, have to give it an 8. Definitely my favorite Alien movie. I know some people like the sequel better, but this one always kind of stuck with me more. But yeah, do I need to talk about how good Alien is? I'm sure most people have watched at least this one, right? This is an absolute classic, and you should definitely watch it. I think it hits like on everything. Some good gore, some good very atmospheric again. Surviving on a ship with a terrifying alien. I love the design of it. It's pretty crazy. Alien Resurrection, actually garbage. Is like, okay, I was like, well, what is this order? Why is it showing this one first? But yeah, I think after like Aliens, which is the sequel, most of them were pretty shit. Oh, what am I doing? This one was 4, right? This one, yeah, I actually hated that one. I didn't think Covenant was too bad. It looked alright. It had some good parts, but it wasn't really what I was looking for. Though I didn't really know what to expect, right? But I expected a little more. And again, there's like some problems with how the alien looked, because it was so bright and it looked very meh. But I thought it was like alright. Maybe I'm like giving it too much credit though. Aliens. Again, I don't think I liked it as much as Alien, just because it was more of a really fun action movie. Because again, there's like one alien in the first one that caused all these problems, and they're just like mowing down the aliens in this one. So it's like a really big change, but I don't hate it. It's just not as horror-y, but it's definitely like worth it to watch, right? And Alien 3. I did like it more than Alien 4, but it was pretty meh. I could give it a 4. I wouldn't care. Maybe I just like hate 4 enough to put Alien 3 above it. An American Werewolf in London. I love this movie. It's probably my. I haven't watched like. Actually, I don't know if I've watched. I mean, I've definitely watched another werewolf movie. I don't know if it's on the list because I don't remember it, and this is so loud. Holy shit. But yeah, I love this movie. It's hilarious. It's fun. It's my favorite werewolf movie. So if you're into werewolves, this is an easy recommend. I think this is. I guess if I give it like an 8, it's like pretty much a classic for me. A 9 is like amazing, and I guess 10 would be like. 10 would be like a lot more like personal stuff that really affected me. And there's only like I think there's only 2 10s on the movie, which will be fun when we get to it. Annabelle, pretty trash. I wasn't really a fan of like the whole Annabelle / Conjuring universe. I thought the first Conjuring was actually pretty good, but yeah, it was not good. I'm not really too scared of dolls. It was very cheap, and I feel like this and like Insidious are like the two like kind of big horror franchises, and they've just been like getting progressively worse. Annabelle Creation. I think this was slightly better. I'm having trouble remembering exactly what happened in this, but I do remember some of the points. I remember a lot of cheap jump scares, which obviously lowers my ranking a bit, but yeah, Annabelle. I mean, watch it if you want, right? El Paso. I know some people really like this. Like my dad really liked this. I didn't. I thought it was kind of meh. I liked some of the scenes, like of. I don't even know what the character was, but I like the butcher kind of guy with like the sacrifices and stuff. But it just wasn't really my sort of thing. Surprisingly. Yeah, I thought it was kind of meh, but I gave it a good enough mark because there was some like really cool like some of the characters really look cool, and there's some like good kills. Like I remember the sacrifice stuff, the torture scene and stuff. It was alright. It's not my exactly like my cup of tea. Army of Darkness, which is Evil Dead 3. It's pretty great. I really do like Evil Dead. I even have a Evil Dead the musical sweater because my dad took me to that a while ago, and it's hilarious. Obviously, Evil Dead 2 and 3 kind of take a turn to comedy, but yeah, this one was great. I think Evil Dead 2, I like it a bit more than this, but it's hilarious. Obviously, you should watch the Evil Dead franchise. It's really solid. Like I would be fine giving it an 8 but I feel BRB. Okay, where are we? As above, so below. I'm probably overrating this one, but I do have it is found footage, and I do have like a soft spot for it. I know some people like really don't like it, but I've always enjoyed it. Funny enough, I think this was actually like pulled from my theaters or didn't even release in them, because I remember seeing the posters, but it just like never came out. I could be wrong. I'm talking, if you were in Toronto and this didn't play, then sure, but I think it was pulled. Ooh. Audition, the second 9 of the list. I love Audition. It's Japanese horror. It's a very long slow burn. I'm fine with slow burn. Some people hate slow burns. Slow burns are basically like it takes a lot to build up, but eventually it gets like really good in the climax. And I think Audition's like one of my favorite horror movies of all time. Like easily one of my favorite horror movies. Very graphic, very hard to look at points, but it is just amazing. Baskin. I think I saw this like last year. It is a Turkish. I believe it was Turkish. Turkish one, basically based on a lot of Turkish folklore, which I didn't actually get while watching it. I like watched a video, just I had no idea what the hell was happening. It was alright. Again, I didn't really connect to the story because I'm not Turkish myself, but it was very gory. There's some like good designs through it. I thought it was decent, but I don't know. It didn't really like connect to me too much. But I'll give it credit to where I think it's due. Burbian Sound Studio. I'm not sure if I should give this a 7. I don't really remember it too much except liking it. It's a very unique one about obviously like a sound editor, or I don't know what the term would be for the main character, but he's like hired to do like sounds for a horror movie, and it's like really cool. Very cool way, like even without the horror aspect, like showing how they would do some of the sounds in horror movies. I thought it was very fun to watch. It might be a highball, but I think I'm fine with it. Just how unique it is, right? The OG Black Christmas. This was great. I still have a fond memories of like the phone calls. I think that was like one of my favorite parts of the movie. With Billy, I guess. I think his name was Billy, right? It started with a B. Billy's like what's coming to my head. Um, but yeah, I think this was a classic um, slasher film. Probably one of my favorites. I don't think I put a slasher film above a 7 just because it's not like exactly my cup of tea, but it did a very good job at scaring me. So thumbs up. Black Swan. I love Black Swan. Again, I don't know if it's exactly a horror movie. It's definitely like a drama movie, but I think I'm fine with putting it on the list just because I like it so much. And I know there's a lot of people who say it's a carbon copy of Perfect Blue, which is also a movie I love. I'm actually reading the novel right now that I picked up on a whim because I just saw it when I was at our bookstore anyways. And I have to disagree. Obviously there's definitely inspirations and similar themes and stuff, but like the plot the plot's just different, right? Like I don't know how you can call something a carbon copy if it has like an almost completely different plot. But I really love it. It's like one of my favorite movies, so I'm happy to put it on this list. And it's probably one of the more like critically received movies that, you know, made it onto the list. And I'm not just I don't think I'm highballing this one at all. I think it actually deserves all the praise. Well, some of them I might be highballing. Blair Witch 2016 was really bad. I think this is like the first thing under 5. 4 is like it's pretty bad, but there's like some funny moments in it and stuff. Like it's entertaining but bad. This was I feel like I can give it lower. I really didn't like this movie. I thought like they actually showed what the witch looked like, and it looked kind of ridiculous, like a very light, blonde-limbed lady. And I mean, I didn't really have too much expectations for this, anyways, but it's just kind of meh, right? I wouldn't recommend this at all unless you're like a big fan of the Blair Witch franchise, which might be, I guess. Okay, I don't remember why I watched this movie, but it's actually just a meme. It's like the lowest budget movie I've ever seen. The acting terrible, everything's terrible. It's like just unredeemable. I guess it was in 3D, but I'm pretty sure it's like straight to DVD, so that's weird. It had a guest star from Ron Jeremy, like a legendary porn star. I don't know. This was a meme. I wouldn't recommend it. It's not even like funny enough to watch. Stoker's Dracula is a movie I really enjoy. It's the only Dracula film I've seen so far. I obviously do have plans to watch like the Hammer ones and some of the older ones, but I enjoyed it. Again, I think I consider this more like a drama sort of thing. I wasn't like too scared while watching it, but I thought it was pretty good. I thought Dracula's design itself it's always kind of like weird to see for me, like his hairstyle and stuff. It's very odd. But all in all, I think it's a pretty good movie, right? I'm satisfied with giving it a 7. I just didn't like it. Just for a 7 to get to an 8 and above, I have to like really, really be in love with the movie, and I don't think I'm in love with it, but I can like acknowledge that it was a really solid and great movie. Candyman, another slasher. This was alright. I do hate bees, so I think that probably influenced my rank to giving it a 6. I mean, it was pretty good. It was very surreal almost. I love his voice. I remember his voice being awesome. But yeah, it was alright. It's not like exactly what I wanted to see for it. Terry. I actually haven't watched the original Terry, so that's kind of a yikes. But this was just average, right? Five means it's an average movie. It didn't do anything well. I don't think it was terrible. I don't exactly regret watching it, but I could have been watching other stuff. So meh. I'm sure people who actually are big fans of the original Terry movie or the novel probably would hate this more than I do. But since I'm not, I don't really care. and I mean, the story itself was pretty interesting, right? Since it was my first time seeing it, so again, it got a lot of bonus points from me anyways, to probably keeping it at a 5. Cello is Korean? I don't remember. Let's look it up. Obviously it's some sort of Asian. Yeah, it's Korean. I didn't like this movie. I thought it was really boring. I went into it because the cover, the cover art, it's really cool, but I just remember it being so boring. So I couldn't. Again, I watched it when I was young, most of these movies, and I used to watch movies all the time, but it was just so boring. But I gave it a 5. Climax. I really like Climax. I might be overplaying it. It's the only Gaspar Noé. No, I don't know how to pronounce his name. I know he's pretty infamous for certain movies, and he's very artful. This one was pretty cool. It's basically a bunch of dancers who and someone sneaks LSD into their punch or something, and they start going crazy, and it's really well done, right? Showing how dramatic, how big the effects of the LSD happens, and it's actually pretty terrifying. I've never done LSD, but this it definitely makes me hesitant to try it. I'm pretty sure they were overdosing it, right? Because they were drinking it with an alcoholic beverage and a lot of it. So yeah, but this was surprisingly good. It was French, right? It was a different language. I think it was French. So I was happy. I was satisfied. I was surprisingly happy because I didn't really have too much expectations, but it turned out to be a pretty great movie. Cloverfield was not something I liked too much. Obviously, I did say I like found footage stuff, but it wasn't anything that really resonated with me. I remember, I don't even remember what the monster looked like, and it was super shaky, which obviously found footage should be, right? It's shaky, but it just wasn't my cup of tea. But yeah, if you like monsters, I guess large-scale monsters, then you'll probably like this. I like the clown. I believe this is the person who gets cursed and slowly starts turning into a clown. I vaguely remember liking this, but I actually don't. I really don't remember the plot too much, so I just gave it a 6 anyways, but I'm fine with lowering it. I just don't actually remember too much, except it being creepy, right? Imagine being cursed and being slowly changed into a clown, your skin color changes and your nose turns red. It's pretty spooky, especially in an era where people actively think clowns. I wouldn't want to be a clown my whole life. Coraline's a banger. I know it's an animation, so
almost a kid film, but it's something I have always liked. I remember seeing it in 3D in the theaters. It's just a great film. I honestly think if you're fine with animation movies and stuff, this is something you should watch because you'll probably be pleasantly surprised. I know it doesn't have the horror tag in this, but I mean, obviously, I watched it in 2009, which is what, 10 years ago. So I was 11 when I watched it. But still, like I think I rewatched it a couple years ago too. It's just great. Like I would wholeheartedly recommend it. I don't think you'll be disappointed with watching it. I might be overrating it a bit, but I actually just really like it. Also, this music's really nice. God damn, what is this? Creep. I watched this year for sure. It was pretty good. It was a found footage movie. Not that I really cared too much about the found footage in this one, but I thought the story itself was pretty good. Like a man takes a Craigslist job to film a guy who's like dying, I guess. He says he has like incurable cancer, so he wants to make like a mini documentary for his child, his unborn child, I think. It's pretty good. Like sad. This is why I freaking hate trailers. Just a small side note, because like especially for horror movies, I just don't watch trailers anymore or avoid it at all costs. Just because they show scares, right? Like it just takes away from the movie. So like I sort of sound like saw like scares and like what it might turn into. Obviously, it did have like its direction did change a bit from what I expected from the trailer, but still sort of a spoiler. That's why I just avoid trailers. And again, I guess the risky part is what if it's just garbage. But yeah, I think I would have enjoyed it more if I didn't watch the trailer, but I still gave it a 7 because I thought I was thoroughly enjoyed. And I was like at a time where I saw a lot of bad horror movies, so this one stood out like a lot while watching it, so I was pretty impressed with it. So yeah, you should probably watch this again if you're a fan of found footage, and it's just like very like it does a really good job at its like tempo and like making you wonder what's gonna happen next. I don't exactly know what I'm trying to say, but yeah. Creepshow, I watched this actually in October. I was pretty impressed with it. This year I've watched a couple of the older ones because I don't usually watch older ones. Again, it's probably part of my stigma of it looks old, so it's probably like not well produced. Generally, but I thoroughly enjoyed this. I didn't think this is an anthology story, which again I think are better than normal, and I didn't hate any of the ones here. I think my favorite was probably the one where the guy like buries the couple's heads in sand and like they drown in a tide, which I thought was pretty unique because I haven't actually heard of something like that before, so I thought that was pretty cool. I thought it could just end there and all the ghost stuff didn't have to happen, but it was still fine. But yeah, the cockroach stuff, like all of them, maybe like the birthday cake one was probably like the least unique, but it was still like thoroughly fun and it had a bunch of good jump scares, so just happy about watching this movie in general. Same with the sequel, I just gave it the same. Obviously there's fewer ones, but I really liked the second one where the people were like on the raft on the lake with the blob trying to eat them. That was hilarious, and I thought that might be like my favorite creep show film from I guess the 8 shown here. I skipped Creepshow 3 because apparently it's like really bad. So, but yeah, I think they're solid movies. They're good watches. Sort of like you don't really have to get into the mood because it's just like fun stuff to watch. Also, I don't have it on the list, but the current Shudder TV show is pretty good. I'm enjoying it, especially the first episode with the dollhouse one. That was really cool. I'm still like super impressed with that. Crimson Peak, I thought it was pretty trash. I watched it in theaters and I didn't like it. Again, it's drama horror, which is something I really like, but it just didn't like hit me well. Again, from memory. Actually, it wasn't that long ago, but I remember being super bored. Cube was great. Cube was great. It's like 6 people trapped in the cube, and they're filled with deadly traps. And again, it's obviously you're scared of the traps, you're scared of the mystery, and in these sort of films, I guess the most scary is how it changes people, how people start to go crazy. This is just an amazing watch. It's again, it's super unique. Maybe I mean it's from 1997, so maybe it's pretty. It could be unique. It doesn't sound exactly like the plot itself. Like the specific part about being in the cube obviously is unique, but I don't know how like I always like those movies where like a group of people are stranded and they're facing something dangerous, and how their relationships change and how they change as a person is something that's always fun for me to watch. Basically, I like this type of movies. Why is Omen 2 above Omen 1? Wait, do I not have the Omen? Oh, it's because it's in the T category. I'm not too big a fan of the Omen series. Even number 1, I'd probably put it at a 6. Just because it wasn't really scary for me. Like, I kind of respect it. It was fun to watch, but it just didn't really, like, invoke any sort of fear for me, so... And Omen 2 is just whatever, right? Like, I kind of remembered him as like he's a CEO trying to ruin the world or something. Like, it's whatever, right? I don't care about it too much. Dark Water. I gave this a 7. It was alright. If you haven't, I didn't have a big sample size, but I really like Japanese horror, and this one I thought was kind of meh. I did rewatch it like a couple years ago, so it kind of like my first watch was with my mom, and it just didn't really scare me. I was expecting like a lot more, but after rewatching it, it's pretty creepy, right? And I guess the premise itself I remember it happening IRL, but it's always something scary to happen. Um, Finding like I don't want to spoil. I'm trying not to spoil stuff, so I don't want to go too into it. But yeah, obviously something to watch. Most like old. I guess it's not old, but like yeah, I'll count that as old-ish Japanese horror. I'm pretty impressed with. A lot of the new stuff has been like pretty bad for me, so hopefully one day it'll start being good again. Dawn, I'm not gonna lie, I could definitely be underrating this. I just don't remember what happened. I really don't remember. I remember them like fighting zombies in a mall, but I felt really bad at giving it a 5, so I just gave it a 6 because I honestly, again, I don't really like zombies and I don't remember what happened, but I do remember watching this movie. So there you go, have a 6. It's probably better, but this one was shit. I watched it when it came out. Yeah, I mean, again, a lot of like mainstream horror is pretty bad right now. Just bad plot. A dumb twist at the ending, I think. I mean, it's usually common to have like a really dumb twist. Bunch of bad jump scares. Not worth watching at all, unless you're into this. Ooh, I really like this movie. I saw it last year and I was so impressed with it. And it kind of made me want to watch like more older films, right? Like the ending was so good. Like I was jumping on my chair like, "Oh man, this is so sick, bro." So yeah, this is something you should watch. I could even see myself giving it an 8, but I think I'm satisfied with giving it a 7. Maybe if I watch it again, I'll like it more. This was a movie that I kind of underrated. Like when I first watched it, I was like, meh. And then I see like a lot of people giving it praise, and I'm like, was this really that good? And like it had some really good scary moments, like some like legitimate jump scares, and very like, yeah, it had some really good scares. So I did bump it up to a 7. Still thought the ending was kind of mediocre. Like, again, it's a twist, but it wasn't that good of a twist. You can sort of see it coming, but the scares itself was pretty good. Even though, like, I thought the acting and the plot wasn't amazing, but it was pretty good. I kind of want to give it a 6 after saying that, but still, it's a 7 for now, just for the quality of the scares. Evil Dead. This was the remake, obviously. It was pretty good. Oh, fun fact, I actually didn't see the original Evil Dead for some reason. Because I remember my dad showing me number 2 and 3, but he wouldn't show me, like, number 1 because it was scary for no reason. I don't actually know what that means. And I really should watch it. I'll probably add it to my list to watch. I mean, this was fine. I remember it being pretty gory, and there's some good stuff, but nothing, like, too memorable, obviously, for me, or else I'd probably comment on it. So I just hit it with a 6. I thought it was fine, but I'm not too scared. Though, to be fair, it's hard to, like I have a good immunity to horror movies, but I'm really bad at, like, horror video games. That's why I don't play them, because I get, like, too immersed and stuff like that. But yeah, Evil Dead 2, I'd leave it a solid 7. Same with Army of Darkness. Again, I think it's probably better, but I don't really feel comfortable with giving it an 8, just because horror comedy isn't actually, like, my favorite sort of horror. Like, I legitimately want to be scared, and with Evil Dead 2, you're pretty much there for laughs. Not that that's a bad thing. Again, I think it's pretty great. Just not exactly what I'm looking for. But yeah, obviously you should watch this. You should also watch Evil Dead the Musical if it ever comes to you, because that was a great experience. Probably my favorite musical. Exorcist 2, Heretic. Honestly, this could be a lot worse. I don't remember anything about it. And if I don't remember, I remember watching all 3 Exorcist movies, but if I don't remember anything about it, I'm just gonna give it a 5, right? Because I can't call it bad since I don't actually remember anything bad happening. And so I'm probably, like, highballing it. But I'm fine with giving it that. Hair extensions, I think this is kind of overrated. I don't know why. But whenever you, like, look up horror movies, like Japanese horror movie, like, must-sees, this, like, always pops up. And I don't really care about it. Maybe if I was wearing more hair extensions, obviously I'm not, but it might, like, resonate with me more, but I just didn't really care. Again, I'm a type of person who doesn't even, like, really brush my hair, so, but it's like, yeah, hair extensions, I, like, come alive and attack the women it's attached to. It's whatever, right? It's kind of funny. So I just gave it a 6. I wasn't, like, too impressed with it. Right, I think this was found footage. This was alright, I guess. Like, the only, like, really memorable part was the ending, and I didn't even think the ending was too great. But yeah, it's whatever. It took me forever to freaking find this on IMDb, because it's its name was Borderlands when I, like, downloaded and watched it, and you just see me, like, keep putting, like, Borderlands on the list, but there's, like, the wrong Borderlands, and then I find out that they changed it to Final Prayer. I don't know why, even though the original was Borderlands. Maybe because people are getting confused about, like that with the video game, but that's kind of stupid. Frankenhooker. This is something I watched actually, like, 2 weeks ago. I thought it was pretty good. I'm giving it a 4 because I thought it wasn't, like, great as a movie, but it was pretty hilarious. But to be fair, I've been giving other comedies like Evil Dead 2 like 7, so I don't know if that's exactly the good thing, but I thought it was pretty solid. Like, I just don't be, like, too dissuaded by seeing this 4. It was pretty hilarious. It's obviously, it's like a modern take of well, not modern, but, like, a newer take of Frankenstein, where it's like a super genius tries to revive his girlfriend by using parts of hookers. Like I was again, I had fun laughing. I like laughed a lot. I had fun watching it. It's an enjoyable movie. Again, if you're into that, then watch it. Again, comedy horror is not like my greatest thing, but it's pretty solid. I'm fine with recommending that whenever. Fright Night's great. Fright Night's. I do remember it a bit. Again, it's more of a comedy thing, right? I could. Part 2 says comedy. I don't remember it exactly, but I remember liking it, so. And I remember like certain scenes when they're like attacking the house, right? Anyways, solid, solid. I could be getting these two mixed up, honestly. um, which is a problem I have. Like when there's like sequels and stuff, sometimes I remember parts from other parts. But yeah, I think Fright Night's. I think most people know what Fright Night is, so I don't think I need to explain it too much. From Dusk to Dawn was also great, in my opinion. I could be wrong about it though. Like all I remember is like the people going into the bar and like the whole movie's in the bar, right? It's telling different stories and stuff. But it's again been a while. And again, these are like kind of boosted by my love of vampires. If you're like telling me what's like my favorite like well-known type of monster, it's gonna be vampires, right? So vampire fanboy, I guess. Get Out is a pretty great movie, right? I remember for a while it had like 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, which is kind of a shit site, right? Or, well, right now it might not have been before. Is it overrated? I think it's a bit overrated. I think it just really like resonated with people because it hits like a lot of issues that people care about, especially in America. But I thought it was pretty enjoyable. Like, I know, like, for like someone's like first like horror film, it was like really solid. Like, I think it's closer to like a 7.5, but I'm fine with giving it a 7. Ghost of Mars. I really don't remember too much about this. Except it being pretty hilarious. Like it has Ice Cube in it, right? Yeah, it's kind of a yikes. By John Carpenter too. That sucks. I wouldn't recommend it. It's too much of a meme. This one I enjoyed. Obviously, I watched this last year. It's found footage. A lot of like some of the storyline like wasn't too great, but I remember like there's a good like. Oh, I forgot who. I don't remember the character's name, but there's like one character's like story slash like death. Like they kind of like have their own like little storylines before their death and stuff. And I thought hers was so good. Like they did a really really good job at making it like super intense and stuff. Like just for that I gave it a 6. Like I would recommend it just to get to that point. Like I don't know if people would like it as much as I did, but you'd probably know what I'm talking about if you watched it. Like, oh, it was like I was like, holy shit, this is great. Some of the other stories are like all right. Also, I do like. It's kind of weird. I do like the setting of asylums. Like, I generally do like asylum movies, even though they're not amazing. But yeah, I think I'm fine with giving it a 6. Same with Grave Encounters again, another asylum movie that's kind of funny. I thought it was alright. I know some people actually like it a lot more. But yeah, it's again found footage horror in an asylum. It's kind of like what I like. I'm totally fine with watching these sort of things. If I see like a new asylum movie, I'll probably pick it up, even though it's not like anything too great. It had a part 2. Wasn't as good. It's just like more of the same, sort of, just kind of milking the series off. Wasn't really impressed with it at all. Green Room. Is this really horror? I guess it kind of is. Obviously it's about I'm sure it was pretty popular, right? As like a good indie film sort of thing. about like band members like sort of being held hostage by neo-Nazis. I remember it being like pretty fun to watch, but again, nothing that really resonated with me. Tokyo Fish Attack. I think I watched this like 2-3 years ago. I am a real big fan of Ito Junji. Like, I have all the Viz books he released, which includes Dio. I actually don't think it's as bad as people have given it, because I know people really dislike this movie and like they hate the changes, but it didn't really change too much. They basically, like, in the original, it was like the boyfriend. Like, it's about a bunch of like machines attaching to like dead fish, and like trying to, and like pretty much taking over the world, like creating this weird gas, whatever. But like in the original, it was like a guy trying to find his girlfriend, while in this one, it was the girlfriend trying to find the guy. And I thought that was pretty interesting, because like the girlfriend was made to be like really bitchy and stuff, so it's actually kind of like fun to watch like her trying to find like this nice cool guy, and how her mental changes from how she was originally. Like, it was pretty fun to see the character development. So I don't know why people were too mad about that. Maybe they're just mad because they're needlessly changing the story, but I was fine with it. I think it's a solid 6. Everything else seemed fine for me anyways. Ah, my voice is dying. And we're only on 63. We're not even halfway. Haunt is something I watched recently. I do like the plot of a haunted house, but there's like real dangers in it. Like, haunted houses as in those things you go to, not like an haunted house. Kind of funny enough, like, I just went to yesterday, actually, of this recording, and I went to Streamers in Toronto, which is like, you pay $30 and there's like 7 haunted houses. It was pretty fun. So I like the plot in general. I just didn't like the movie. I hated the ending, because the ending, without spoiling it ends in a one-liner, and whenever movies do that, I just get kind of mad, because it's so lame. It's so lame, dude. But it was alright. I could see myself bumping it up to a 6 if I really wanted to. Like, some of the costumes were cool, and the designs and stuff. And again, I like the plot. I think the one-liner just triggered me to giving it a 5. So there you go. Ooh, this might be controversial. I really, really liked Hereditary. I watched it about like twice. It was so good. Again, it's like what I liked, some ghosts, some drama stuff. Pretty good plot. Like, the ending itself, like, I didn't love it. I didn't love, like, the very end. Not obviously the climactic stuff leading to the end. But great scares, pretty great acting. Just something I really like. I know some people like think it's pretty overrated, but especially since it was this guy's like very like first like big film feature, right? So I was super impressed with this, and I'll probably continue watching this guy's films, because I think he's been doing a really great job. But yeah, you've probably heard of this. I think if people are saying it's overrated, I think it's definitely worth checking out yourself anyways, because it's pretty great. Maybe I could bump it down to an 8, but I think I'm fine with giving it a 9. I really loved it. And again, I guess 9 to 10 are stuff, like, again, based a lot more on how much I liked it. Right? House. This one's, okay, I know I said I didn't really like comedy stuff, but this one was just so funny. I watched it like probably twice, like once when I was younger and like maybe like 3 years ago. But it's a Japanese comedy horror, and it's just ridiculously funny. Like, and again, 1977, it's pretty unique too. So I would really recommend it. It's not like the same sort of like comedy as like Evil Dead, but it's just like really, really odd. I think you'll like it. House of Wax I watched this month. Kind of starting. I think this might be like the oldest movie I've watched. I was really impressed. It's my first time seeing Vincent Price, and I think I've watched like 2 other movies with him in it, and I really like him as an actor. It's just like it's always like good to see him act. He has like a pretty great screen presence. And then it's a slasher, but it's pretty unique. Like the idea of hiding bodies in wax sculptures, it's pretty terrifying itself. And again, I've never like heard of this sort of thing, obviously, but I thought it was pretty great. Trying to go a little faster, because this is gonna be like a 2-hour video if you don't hurry up. Hush was pretty unique. It's like a slasher home invasion film with, I guess it's not a slasher, home invasion film with a deaf woman. I don't really care too much about home invasion films though, so I just leave it as 6, but points for being original. But again, like these sort of movies always like have the same general thing where like one of the characters, probably the main character, is kind of insecure and not exactly like good at stuff, but then eventually she kind of like steals their resolves and ends up killing the killer. I just think it's kind of boring because it just happens over and over again. I like vaguely remember this. I thought it was alright. Not scary at all, but unique plot. I was kind of expecting something else from the title. I am not a serial killer, but because it wasn't really it wasn't really like like what I expected, but it was fine. 6 out of 10. I might be lowballing this because I remember watching this. I don't remember too much about it itself, but it's Korean, I believe. It's sort of a revenge flick. Yeah. Again, I can't comment too much on it. I know people really like it. I just don't remember too much. Probably should just give it a 5 then, since I don't remember too much. But if it's this much, if it's praised this much, and I remember my dad really liking it, I think I'm fine with giving it a really good mark. In the Mouth of Madness was pretty good. I might be overrating it a bit. About an author who's discovers that like his writings is actually happening, and maybe he didn't like write it itself. Maybe like a greater force did it. I thought it was pretty unique. I know some people actually don't really like this. But again, as someone who wants to become an author, I think it kind of resonated with me. Like, what if you're not writing your own stories? What if like a higher being is like compelling you to write it? So I thought it was pretty cool for me. Insidious, again, one of the bigger horror franchises currently going on. I did enjoy the first movie. I thought it had some really cool scenes, especially when, I don't remember what it's called, but when he went to like the ghost world with like the smiling family and stuff. Like, I thought it was like pretty good, and I kind of had like high hopes that this is gonna be like, I thought it was a pretty good movie, and when I heard about the sequel, I'm like, yeah, I'll probably watch it. The first one was good enough, right? Chapter 2 was kind of like meh. Again, it wasn't like as bad. It just like, if it's like almost a carbon copy of the first one, then obviously I'm not going to rate it the same, right? Because it's kind of lazy. Obviously the plot's not, but the feel of it. But again, it had like some pretty good scenes when they went to the ghost world. Like, that's pretty much why I watch the Insidious movies, because they always have like some really standout scenes in the ghost world. And that's where chapter 3 was like kind of disappointing. I know some people actually like it more than chapter 2 from when I talked to them, but chapter 3, the ghost world, again, I'm literally just watching the movie for that, since this was like I believe this was like completely different than the plot from the first 2. But yeah, the ghost world scenes were lame, so I couldn't give it an average, so I just dropped it down to 4. And then we get to last year's movie, which was so bad. I gave it a 3 because, you know, it still had production value. It still had some like good designs or whatever. But when I give it a 3, it's because it's boring, and I was so bored watching it. And I think being bored during a horror movie is just like the worst feeling. But I'm the type of guy who likes to watch movies to the end, so I didn't turn it off. I watched it fully, and I just it was just bad. I was kind of disappointed in the plot itself. Like they were really like hype. I'm not even hyping. Like saying, oh, this is gonna be important. Like this guy's motivations. Like it sounds like he's trying to like set something big up, and then it turns out like his motivations are just to get fear from the person. And I'm like, what the heck? Why did you just throw out all this stuff about him for such a dumbass plot? I don't know. I was mad. This is shit. Insidious is just piling downhill. I'm pretty sure they'll probably release a new one since again these are pretty popular, but I'd be really surprised if it was worse than this one, because this one was absolute trash. Garbage. It was alright. Again, I don't really fear clowns. I honestly feel kind of bad for clowns because of how people like hate them. But yeah, I thought it was solid. I thought the CG monsters were like pretty good. I thought the child acting was also pretty good. So I'm fine with giving it a 6. And I just gave this one a 6 too because I don't actually like remember too much about it. But I thought it was. I just think that my enjoyment from watching the original is probably the same as watching the remake, so I'm fine with this. Now, It Chapter 2, I also give it a 3. This might be controversial, but I also thought this was so boring. Like, I was so tempted to just like browse my phone because of how boring this was. It was like super long. Like I know there's jokes in like the first one or whatever, but the jokes were so bad. It just felt like no one cared. Like honestly, it felt like I just didn't care. I didn't get scared at all. Like again, I just praised the CG monsters of being pretty good, but in this one, the CG monsters just look stupid. Like there's like one big troll lady. Like, I was just not impressed with this. I'm perfectly fine with giving this a 3, even though obviously it's not the popular opinion. It's just so meh. Did not like it. But then I can't even say I'm like too disappointed because I was expecting it not to be as good as the first part, because in general I don't think the adult part of it, the It storyline, is as good as the child part. But it was like exponentially boring and bad. Like I didn't expect it to be that bad. It Follows was pretty great. I know people praise it as like one of the better horror movies of the decade, and I can totally get around that. Unique storyline, pretty creepy if it happens to you, right? But yeah, this is solid. I think most people probably know it. If you don't, you should watch it. Yeah, I don't have too much to say on that one. Jeepers Creepers was alright. Not something I care about too much, honestly. Yeah, it's like out of the classic monster stuff, which I actually haven't seen a lot of, to be fair. It's just not something I cared about too much. I really like the theme song and stuff. Like that brings fond memories. I remember in daycare people like always used to sing that, so that's probably why I gave it a boost. And honestly, I don't remember anything. Actually, no, I do remember. Yeah. This one was way worse, right? The basketball team bus. I remember it kind of, but it just wasn't good. And I know they recently made a third one, so maybe that's worth checking out. But yeah, it's not my favorite. Not my favorite series. Jennifer's Body. Remember this one? Megan Fox. I remember in elementary school, everyone loved her. This was alright. I thought it was pretty funny, honestly. Which I think it's meant to be funny, right? But yeah, it was alright. Bad acting, bad whatever, but it's made for memes, so have fun with it. Really? Oh, is it the... Okay. Oh shit, I'm gonna finish like the first 100, then I'm gonna take a break. My throat's dying. Ju-on. I love Ju-on. Ju-on is what invoked my fear of spooky ladies. I'll talk more about it at the first one because I love the first one. I think the second was pretty decent. A lot, again, it's a lot of just the same as the first one, but because of my love of the first one, I'm perfectly fine with giving it an 8. I know I'm highballing the shit out of this, but I think this comes down to just me personally being super scared of spooky ladies, and I was like, and this really affected me for a long ass time. I remember I literally had like visions of like, I remember in the shower as a kid, I like got out of the shower and I thought I saw a freaking spooky lady just sitting down by the shower thing, and I was like, holy fucking shit. And I just like stayed in the shower for like a good like 5 minutes after, like being so scared. Like this really affected my psyche, so I'm fine with giving it a 2, even though again it's just more of the same. This one isn't actually the movie. This one is the TV. Is it? It's only. No, it has to be the TV show because I gave it a 9. This one was solid. Again, I watched it after watching the movie, so it's pretty much the same. Though obviously I prefer the movie because it was the first one, but it's like the only Ju-on I haven't seen was like the second OVA, which is something I should really get to soon. But I thought it was pretty solid. I don't know how other people thought. I mean solid. I mean great. I mean amazing, not solid. I don't know. I'm losing my words because my freaking throat hurts. But yeah, I recommend you to watch every single Ju-on movie except for the latest two because those are dog shit. And then you have these ones. These are like kind of the. Oh, don't look at that one. These ones are like kind of like the newer era ones, and I like them. I know some people didn't. They have nothing to do with like the original storyline. They're just basically like short stories about like Kyoko or the Grudge Lady. And I thought they were solid. Like again, they're just it's almost like an anthology thing. They also have like a White Ghost one. I just gave it a 6 for each. I thought they were good. I know some people don't like them, but I was fine. BRB. Okay. Oh my god. So, to be fair, I get these two kind of mixed up. Like, I sort of remember. I don't remember exactly, like, which is which from some parts, but I remember I remember this one is terrible because they tried to retcon the whole story. About the child and stuff, and that pissed me the hell off. Like, why would you even try to do that? Since again, Ju-on's pretty much my favorite horror series, so I was super pissed at this one. This one's slightly better because I do remember, like, just looking at the images from the actual IMDb page, I was pretty impressed with it. I mean, like, there's some decent scares, but again, this is sort of where Ju-on sort of died. I think they're making a new one, which I mean, I'm down to watch every Ju-on thing because again, it's my favorite series. But this really hurt me of how freaking they ruined it. That's right, I gave Ju-on a 10. I know no one else is probably gonna give it a 10. But I'm fine with giving it a 10. Again, I love it. I personally love it. It really kind of effed up my my childhood a bit. I remember one night also I thought Kyoko was in my vent because it kept whenever I closed my eyes it like made a bang noise. I basically stayed up for like 3 days straight, or not 3 days. I think it was more 2 days. But yeah, I remember that. That was and it was so long ago too, right? I remember it was like before like Twitch TV came out, and I was like watching this like 24-hour like charity stream on like some random ass site. So I was like up at like 3 a.m. watching like some guy play World of Goop because I was too scared to sleep. It's hilarious thinking about it now, but again, this movie fucked me up, and I love it, and I always will love it. Again, White Ghost is the same as Black Ghost for me. I don't exactly remember enough to mix them up, but they were solid. I'm actually down to take a break here because I have food. And we're not even halfway there, so see you in a second for you, but probably in like an hour or two for me. Ooh, we're back. Sort of revitalized, but still tired. That's when Caden. Oh wait, I mean Caden. I remember the storyline. I should give this a 6. I don't know why it's a 7. I don't remember too much about it except liking this, like the general storyline. Obviously it's based on a folktale, I think. It was alright. It's something I think I had that on DVD too, so I do have like fond memories of it, but I probably shouldn't have given it a 7 since I don't remember as much as I'd want to. This one I really like. Obviously the main one is the person who gets the tattoos all over them, that story, but again, anthologies, which I generally like, and 4 good anthologies, which is just what you want to see, right? I definitely recommend you this. I know it's like 1964, but I think it's just, I actually, when I watched it first, I had no idea it was from 1964. Like, it looked pretty, like, it looked good enough to be more recent than that, so this is just solid anthology stuff. Lake Mundo, I know people absolutely love this movie. I'm fine with giving it a 7. I think that kind of like influenced me. I didn't think it was amazing. It had like, obviously everyone loved the ending or whatever, the jump ending, but it had like that really like creepy one when they found like the guy like in the, I think it was photographs of camera. I thought that was like pretty, like in the house. I thought that was pretty creepy too. It was alright. I didn't hate it. It didn't really like. Sorry, there's like a fly in my room that's just hovering around me for like the last 30 minutes. I didn't like love it, but I thought it was fine. This one, I don't remember why I remembered this, but this is a good one. It's like it might be hard to watch for some people, but it's basically like a school shooting movie. What a teacher wants to like. I don't remember his exact motivations, but I know he like shoots up like. There's like a lot of people die in this movie. Like I don't think that's the whole school, but it's like a big majority. Like I wouldn't be surprised if it's like 50 to like 100 students that just get killed by this guy. Like again, it might be hard to watch since it's a pretty edgy topic, but I think it was like good for what it was going for. The ending was kind of dumb since it was like, oh, he's trying to like get off on being mentally ill. I'm like, oh, whatever. but I thought it was fine itself. Sorry, why? It's kind of loud for me. Sorry. Let the right one in. Is something you might have heard, or you might have watched the American remake, because that one's probably supposed to be pretty good. I haven't watched it. I forgot what language this is in. I think it might be Swedish or something around there. It's a vampire flick, which again I love. It's drama. It's very romantic, and it pretty much hits all the check marks I'm looking for. Again, if you're not into watching this, it's like, oh, Aiden gave it an 8 or whatever, and expecting something scary. It really isn't scary. There's like a pretty cool climactic scene, which is horror, but overall, it's just a very like, I don't know. I find it very comfy, and I really like it. And obviously, it's just well done, but it's not exactly like the horror as in super scary, but. Good enough for an 8 for me, boys. Mama was shit. I remember watching the trailer as a kid. I'm like, oh man, this movie looks good. Then I watched it like, probably like in 2015 or something, 2016. And I'm like, wow, this movie looks shit. Yeah, it was an impressive. And when you actually look at the Mama ghost, it just did not look good from what I remember. I wouldn't watch this ever again. Naruto is something I watched probably like a week ago. I want to like it more than I do, but I just didn't like it as much. And this is probably like the only time I'm gonna mention it, but I just hated the way it was filmed. So like I did like maybe a third of it was like found footage, but the rest was like just filming the guy obviously as a normal movie, and that's fine. But like the camera guy filming the normal guy made it look like it was found footage too. Like it was super shaky and shit when, so it like made it look like the guy had his own cameraman when that's not the point. Wait, oh, sorry, interruptions. I usually record at night, but and then this is like a long ass video, so I didn't want to. Triggered for no reason. Anyways, yeah, I thought this was good. Again, it was vampire stuff, which I liked. I just hated the camera work, and I know I was talking to some people who were trying to like explain to me why it's not that bad and stuff, but I just can't get over it. Montando, I watched this like a couple days ago. It was a pretty great meme. Very unique storyline of being attacked by like mushroom people monsters. It kind of goes into like the same category as we just talked about this, and I forgot what it was. What was it? Cube, like like they get stranded. There's some bad things, like they're in danger, like, and they're in like survival mode. It brought up feelings like that, but it was alright. I don't think I really got scared, and maybe the big part is I actually watched it in English dub because I watched it later, and I don't know, I was too lazy to find the sub version, and the dub version was like what I found directly, so maybe that affected it. I didn't hate the dub though, but yeah, it was alright. It's a decent one. I don't know if you get scared or not, but yeah. Midsommar, the same director as Hereditary, his second film. I liked it. I know some people really didn't like it and was disappointed it wasn't like another Hereditary, but I sort of like the idea of, because I thought it was like almost like the complete opposite, which is kind of a cool thing to do. Like most horror movies, again, are dark and like mysterious, where this one was like completely bright the whole time, and I thought that was like a pretty cool idea, having like everything happen in the light, which is kind of makes it harder to do horror. Um, so for like the uniqueness, and I thought there's like some pretty great scenes with the cult light stuff. Apparently they did like some pretty good stuff with the drugs and being realistic, but I'm not really too experienced, so it didn't connect to me that much. So I thought it was a pretty great movie. With the giving it a 7 seems fine to me. It didn't resonate with me as much as Hereditary did, or scare me as much, but I thought it was like good for what it was. Mimic, I kind of remember it, though not that much, but I thought it was pretty good from what I remember. Um, it's always scary, right? Having having the thought that like, what if like something else is just mimicking a human? It's one of the things that kind of scares me. So, but I don't remember too much, but I'm fine with giving it a 6. Norio, The Curse is amazing. I should give it a 9. I don't hate giving it a 9. It's probably like this and Wreck, which we'll talk about later, is probably like my 2 favorite found footage movie. Oh fuck, I'll give it a 9. It's bothering me. It's definitely a 9, at least. Found footage movie. This one's Japanese. I definitely I can't really. I don't want to talk about like the plot and stuff for some of this stuff, but I wholeheartedly recommend it. I think you'll like it. I think this is like one of this is just a great movie. Adult's also another found footage movie I really like. I'm definitely highballing the shit out of this. You don't need to tell me that. It's definitely like not on the same level as Noryu, but I thought it was like a really 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 good Japanese found footage horror movie. I probably could put it down to a 7, but I just, again, personal feelings. It's hitting me hard. I remember loving this movie, so I'm fine with it.
We kind of hit the halfway point almost. Will we load? I'm gonna speed this up a bit. I'm this is killing me. One Missed Call. Oh, that's funny. I didn't actually watch the original One Missed Call from the original Japanese one. I don't know why. I just never did. But I watched this one first. It was alright. I thought the little kid was kind of creepy. Its twist ending didn't actually hit me too hard because I didn't watch the first one, and obviously it was in relation to the first one. But it was like, meh. I thought this one wasn't as bad as people say. I know people hate this, but I thought it did a pretty okay job at what it was trying to do. So I thought it was like pretty much an average horror movie. I don't think it was as low as other people might have think. I don't know if Pan's Labyrinth should be horror. It probably shouldn't, but I gave it a 10. It's like, again, it didn't affect me mentally the way Ju-on did, but it's just one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, I'm perfectly fine having a Pan's Labyrinth night and rewatching it. It's just a great, like, fantastical movie, I guess. Yeah. I mean, I think most people know about it. I mean, it did scare me. Like, in daycare, when I was in daycare, I don't know why, but I remember a bunch of times people would just have that scene with the. I know he has a name. I don't remember, but you know, the spooky dinner scene, probably like one of the most famous scenes of this movie, and yeah, it's just one of my all-time favorites, and the last 10 out of 10 movie I put on this list. Again, it's not too horrifying. It has that one scene, so I guess it qualifies. Haha. Paprika was great. I don't know if it's an 8, but it definitely had like it's definitely more of a psychological thriller thing. I don't even know if it's horror really, but I I really do I really do love it. It gave me a lot of Perfect Blue vibes, even though they kind of go in a really they're not like really similar, but that's what I felt like from it. So I liked it a lot. One of my favorite anime movies for sure, and I think it's horrifying enough to put it on the list. Going through Paranormal Activity, the first one was pretty decent. Again, I didn't watch it when it came out because I would have been way too young. But I was pretty satisfied with watching it. Again, it's very innovative, and people will always like it because of what it did to the genre, and spawned a bunch of other movies, right? 2, I kind of remember what happened with like the sister and stuff, but I just don't remember enough to care about it. I don't remember 3 at all. Why did I give it a 6? No idea. I'm trying to think. I might have. I'd have to look more into it. But apparently I liked it better than Paranormal Activity 2 when putting it on the list. I don't remember I can't really comment on it. I do remember Ghost Dimension. I do remember this one for some reason. This one, I thought it was pretty decent. I know it's like technically like lower. I don't know what Metascore is, but like whatever, it's kind of lower. But I remember this one slightly. It's alright. Like this, you don't watch Paranormal Activity like expecting it to be some great movie. It's kind of just like a whatever filler thing. But yeah, this one's like the Spanish one, right? Or not? I don't know if it's Spanish, but you know, you know what I'm saying, right? This one was whatever. I don't know. The series isn't great, but I'll probably watch them anyways, right? Perfect Blue, I gave a 9. I think that's pretty standard. When someone's like, "What's the best like horror anime?" A lot of people will say Perfect Blue, just because it does it really well. Again, I'm reading the book right now. It's pretty. I mean, I haven't watched Perfect Blue in so long. I need to rewatch that probably after
finishing the book, but it's like it. Like I remember being super scared of that sort of thing. Again, it's both psychological horror and I guess stalker horror. I don't know if that actually has like an official term, but it's super well done. It's again, I'm pretty confident with saying probably the best horror anime. I really didn't. I don't know. I if I was being honest, which I probably am, I should give this like a 6. I didn't really care about this movie. I'm sure people probably cared when it first came out, but it wasn't too impressive for me. But it had like some memorable moments. But it wasn't really scary. I don't know. I might change it in the future. The new Poltergeist was a good meme. Whatever. Possum I watched this year. I liked Possum. It was alright. Like the plot itself wasn't amazing, but let's strengthen this up a bit. The puppet itself was probably the scariest puppet I've ever seen, and I'm not really scared of puppets. Like I haven't even watched the Chucky stuff, but the puppets in the puppet is so fucking scary. Whenever that thing was on screen, I was like, I don't want to watch this. So that I think that really like bumped it up to a 6 because the story itself is kind of whatever, but the puppet was just it's terrifying. Quarantine is the American remake of Wreck. It was pretty boring and it kind of lost most of the charm Wreck had. Not worth watching. Wreck I gave it a 9. I love this movie. It's Spanish. I think most of the Spanish movies I put on this list have been pretty well received, so, or in my opinion. Could be a high volume, I don't care. This movie's freaking great. Is this better than Noryu? I don't know. They kind of take like different stances. Like this is like very like fast paced, very intense, while Noryu kind of like builds it up more. But I think this and Noryu is like the pinnacle of fan footage, and I doubt I'll ever really see something better than these. It's hard to imagine for me. Raw, it was alright. I think people overrated it. Like when I heard about Raw, people were like, "Oh, this is like one of the new best horror movies. Oh, there hasn't been a horror movie that really drew this much like mainstream like attention." And I'm like, it was alright. Cannibalism does always have this effect on me where it is icky to watch. I thought like this is a French movie, by the way. I think yeah, it was. I think it was French. I thought the ending, like little twist, was kind of whatever. It was a little cheesy. The movie itself was alright. I thought it was a little too quick paced to really build up the main character's like, I guess character. I don't know. I didn't care too much for it, but I'm fine with giving it a 6. Just because cannibalism is pretty icky for me. And it was like alright. I don't know. I think it's kind of overrated though. This movie's a good meme. I'm fine with giving it a 5. It's about like an aborted fetus trying to take revenge on the family. Shit, I just spoiled it. I shouldn't have spoiled it. I don't know. I'm sorry if that bothered you. It's just I don't think you'd probably care much. It's like kind of funny. The person looks freaking ridiculous. I remember when he like revealed what he looked like, but it's an alright movie, I guess. Not too bad. It was kind of fun to watch. This is a Chinese movie. It's not really scary at all. It's like another vampire thing, I think. But it's more of like an action movie. But I just put it on anyways. I don't know. I wouldn't watch this if you want to get scared, but it has some like cool fight scenes and stuff. So it's that. Rindu never really gave me like the same thing The Grudge did, or The Grudge Ju-on did. So my Rindu loyalty isn't too high. I love the Rindu manga, which is probably you probably might not have heard of it because obviously it's not done by the same person and stuff. But it is a really good manga series if you can pick it up. But yeah, I mean I, actually actually The Ring, the American remake. It's one of the few American remakes from a foreign film that I actually think is like pretty on par with the original. Like I thought the American remake was pretty fine. I haven't watched. Yeah, Ringu Zero. I liked a lot. I know people probably don't like it as much, but I liked it a lot because of the manga. Because it was like pretty much exactly the same as the manga. And the I remember really liking the. Yeah, yeah. Again, I'm just a fan of the manga, so I'm like, oh, this is like really cool to see. Ringu 2 was worse than Ringu 1. I think that's pretty self-explanatory. As per, like, honestly, again, another side note, most sequels are just either like carbon copies of the first one, or they're just worse in general. This one's like more of a carbon copy-ish thing, so it's just not as good. Saw. I have the basic opinion that most people have is that the first Saw was really good, the second Saw was like pretty good, but not as good, and then the rest of the Saws were pretty garbage. Um, but the first Saw again really unique for its time, and the twist was amazing, something I didn't predict. So I was really satisfied with this one. Second one, I know some people like it more, and I it's fine. I think I might giving it a 7. I don't actually hate, because again it has cool traps, really violent, and it had a really good twist again. But to me, that's just basically a carbon copy of Saw 1, so I don't really want to put it on the same level. It's just copying everything. And the rest of the Saws were mediocre. I didn't see Jigsaw, but whatever. Scary movies, not great. They're comedy, it's fun, it's not something I really cared about, or something I'd ever rewatch, right? Basically, if you don't know, they usually just do a bunch of parodies of the horror movies, which, again, it could be entertaining if you're looking for something like that. I don't care too much about it. Scream. I didn't really like it the first time I watched it, but on rewatch, I appreciate it a bit more. Obviously, like most people say, it's commentary on the slasher genre, which probably got in kind of stale by that point. It was solid. The killer reveal was also really great. You usually don't see that sort of things in movies. At least I was surprised when I watched it, so I think giving it a 7 is fine. It's a classic. You should like it. The sequels I don't care about. I know some people say Scream 4 is actually like pretty decent. I don't remember. I don't care about the sequels. Shaun of the Dead. I think most people know it. It's probably one of the best comedic horror movies, and honestly, it's probably my favorite zombie movie, which might trigger people, and I haven't been too like informed on zombie movies, and maybe my opinion will change in the future, but for now, Shaun of the Dead is my favorite zombie movie. Shiromi is a pretty good meme. It's about a mockumentary, which again is just a parody on a documentary about it's actually about an idol group in Japan called I can't pronounce her name, Momorio Clover, and it's kind of funny because this movie actually introduced me to like idol Japanese music, and I'm not really an idol fan as much. Like in grade 9, I was like like I had like a big playlist of it, but I still like Momorio Clover. I listen to them sometimes. And it's a pretty cool thing to because they basically made this movie to explain why one of their members left the group. So I thought it was pretty fun. So props up for that. I'm fine with giving it a 5 if I really wanted to, but it's not great. I wouldn't really recommend it to people, but it's a good meme. Shudder is a great movie. It's a Thai movie. I haven't watched the remake actually, but it has its infamous bedroom scene. But yeah, again, it's a spooky lady, which again freaked me out when I was younger. So I'm perfectly fine with giving this an 8. Again, I don't think it's as scary as a Ju-on and stuff, but this was pretty terrifying. Signs was a meme. I know some people liked it better. I just thought it was really stupid. Or at least the ending was stupid. I haven't watched the first Silent Hills, but Silent Hill Revelation was horrible. I probably could give it lower, except I kind of liked some of the designs of the things. So whatever. I know some people like Sinister too. I actually saw this in the theaters. I just thought it was pretty mediocre. It's like the modern stuff of cheap jump scares. I mean, it had it's more like a 5.5. It had like a really, I thought the child scene was pretty cool with the child following it, but the twist was whatever. It's not something I care about. Also, the sequel I didn't watch. Sleepaway Camp was pretty decent. No, I mean, it was pretty great. It was freaking hilarious when I watched it. Like, I just couldn't stop laughing. The reveal was pretty good. Like, I did think I knew who the killer was, but I didn't know, like, I didn't get the other part of the reveal. So it was a fun watch. It's honestly, again, one of my favorite slashers. So I'm fine with this. Species was alright. It was unique. It was, again, mimicking people, which is kind of spooky. Uzumaki, again, another Ito Junji thing. I watched this a long time ago, so my opinion could change on it. But I didn't read Ito Junji in 2000, so this is like my first like exposure to him. And it was so weird, I just didn't like it when I first watched it, but I feel like if I watch it again, I might like it more, because I actually love Uzumaki. Like, it's probably my favorite Ito Junji book published by Viz Media to this date, so... Yeah, Splinter's good. Splinter's... I think the Splinter monster itself was very uncomfortable to watch, which is, again, is points up. Yeah, solid like Alien movie. This one might be controversial. I haven't watched the original Suspiria, but I love the 2018 remake. It was either this or Hereditary for my favorite, and I think I liked Hereditary more, but I really, really enjoyed this movie. I do like witches in general, the idea of witchcraft and stuff. Yeah, but I was pretty scared for most of it. And obviously, it had like the good gory scene, the scene where with the hypnotism, which was pretty scary, and like, you know, the finale with naked people dancing. It's always kind of spooky. I love this movie. I know people don't like it as much, but that's fine. Terrifier, it's like slasher. No, it's like a slasher movie with no plot. It's all gore, but the gore is really good. I don't care about it too much, but I gotta give it credit to where it's due. I'm fine with giving it a 6, because again, really gory. And the clown was actually pretty scary, honestly. Again, I'm not really scared of clowns, but this guy was actually... did a really good job at it. I'm fine with giving this one a 6. Surprisingly, people like it a lot more than I thought people would like it. It's like interesting. It's kind of a witchy sort of story. Yeah, I mean, it's a kind of a unique plot. The scares are actually pretty legit. I'm fine with giving it a 7 if I really need to, but 6 seems fine for me. This movie is so freaking overrated. I don't know why people are quoting The Babadook as one of the best horror movies ever. I've heard people say it's their favorite horror movie of all time. This movie is not that good. I'm just being honest. I did not care about it at all. Like, honestly, my favorite part of it is probably the picture book. I thought the way that they made it looked really cool, but I didn't give a shit about it, honestly. Like, the child was so freaking annoying, and I know that's part of it to make you feel bad for the mother, but I just didn't care. I'm fine with giving it a 6. This is not like some revolutionary movie for me personally. Maybe my opinions will change. Maybe if I rewatch it, I might change my opinions, but I just don't care about it at the moment. Dude, I love I love this movie. It's a zombie movie, but again, they're not focusing on the zombies. It's about like two former baseball players trying to survive the zombie apocalypse or whatever, and it's just great seeing how they change, how their motivations and stuff. And I thought the ending was pretty cool. Again, I'm trying to blaze through this because I feel like I'm dying in here. Blair Witch, solid horror movie. Some people hate it, but again, it pretty much revolutionized a lot of the found footage, or at least brought it to like light, or popularized it is probably the right word. I thought it was fine. When I first saw it, it was pretty scary, so good for it. Cabin in the Woods is satirical, it's comedy, it's funny. It does a really good job at it. Solid movie. Conjuring Universe is whatever. I kind of rated it the same as Insidious because it's whatever. First one was like pretty decent. I'm like, oh, I have high hopes. Conjuring 2 is really fucking boring with the dumbass snake lady. I was like, oh, this is just really boring. Surprised it's rated so high, honestly. Dentist is alright. Like, I wasn't really too impressed with most of it, but just the idea of freaking teeth stuff is gross. I hate teeth stuff. I still remember my bad experience when I got my wisdom teeth removed. It was this year, and you can hear him like cutting the gums because it was like stuck, and I can just hear the scissors like snipping in my mouth. I'm like, oh, it's gross. So I don't think this is like an amazing movie, but like teeth stuff kind of boosts it to a 6 for me. Descent's great. Some people think it's overrated. I think it's great. I think it's very claustrophobic, and I freaking hate claustrophobia. Honestly, like, the claustrophobic stuff is probably, like, to me, more scary than the freaking creatures. But yeah, it's horrifying. I'd never explore caves just for the fact that it might, like, collapse. Shit's scary. Devil's Backbone was pretty great. Yeah, I can't really talk too much about it without spoiling it, but it's a good, like, ghost story stuff. This was whatever. I remember watching it with my cousins, and they were, like, laughing the whole time, so it might have ruined the experience for me personally. But but it wasn't scary at all. Like, the part where she was walking around with the faces looking spooky looked so freaking stupid to me. It wasn't that good. Original Exorcist an 8, I'm fine with it. I think it was a great movie, even for its time. Like, I think it holds up to now. Like, it's it's really disturbing, obviously, to see, like, a young girl kind of being transformed into a demon through possession. And it's very, yeah, I think it's just a very good movie. Exorcist 3 was pretty funny. I don't know, I wasn't too scared, but it was alright. So, the first Purge is like the newest Purge movie. I thought it was freaking garbage, honestly. It wasn't scary at all. It lost most of its charm. Like, some of the side stuff was scary. Like, most Purges have, like, you see some side characters doing some spooky stuff, so that kind of adds to, like, the atmosphere. But this movie was garbage, in my opinion. It was more of an action movie, watching, like, the gangster boss do, like, all these, like, Matrix John Wick stuff and kill, like, freaking, like, 20, 30 people throughout the movie is kind of ridiculous. I don't know. I really disliked it. I'm not too big of a fan of the Purge movies anyways, but it wasn't good. Green Inferno's fine. It's gory, it's cannibalism. To me, it did kind of scare me, the idea of being, like, captured and tortured and eaten by like, I don't even know, indigenous tribes or whatever is kind of scary for me, but it wasn't anything amazing. I thought the American remake of The Grudge, me loving The Grudge, was pretty good. Obviously, it doesn't stand up to the original, but it had some, like, original scares that weren't in the Japanese series that I thought were pretty cool. So give it props for doing it alright. Again, it got worse on the second, and the third one was so bad, dude. It was so bad. Probably because oh yeah, and the remakes were actually directed by the person who did the original Grudge. But you know, they moved to America probably because they didn't want to film in Japan anymore, and it was just so boring. Um Honestly, I still think the last movie from Ju-on is actually worse than this piece of shit, but yeah, I don't buy it. Hills Have Eyes. I kind of rated the remake and the thing as the same because I actually really like the remake. I think they did a really good job making the mutants look spooky, while this one was a little more like, it is technically realistic, but again, cannibalism, pretty spooky. Um, I thought it was a pretty solid movie. Nothing too amazing, but the plot itself was kind of spooky. Hole in the Ground, I watched it recently. It's like an Irish horror film. Nothing too good. When I watched the trailer, yes, I watched the trailer before having my trailer ultimatum about never watching trailers again. It reminded me a lot about Hereditary, but when I watched it, like there's some scary scenes, but nothing like really impressed me. Like my literal feelings after watching it was just like a bit meh. So I'm fine with giving it a 5. The host is Korean, I think. It's pretty great. Movie. I don't even know how to explain it. It's a monster movie. I think you'll enjoy it if you like monster movies. There's a really good tension part. I think slightly above midway through, so you'll probably like it. This was a meme. This wasn't good. Vincent Price film. This is the latest horror movie I watched, and I thought it was pretty great. I didn't really read the Edgar Allan Poe stuff because I haven't gone too far into it. Like I've read some of his shorter stories, but I think this one's probably longer, right? I liked what they did with the colors. I thought it was pretty unique, and again, Price carries his weight, so solid film. Honestly, I'm gonna probably watch all the Price movies eventually. It's just such a good actor. I didn't remember too much about Midnight Meat Train, so I'm fine with giving it a 5. It's probably like some gory slasher stuff on a train, of course. Mist was pretty great, and then the ending made me cry as a kid because I'm super emotional. I like the idea of otherworldly stuff, so solid 7. Brendan Fraser, The Mummy. It's a fun movie. It's not scary. You don't go into it thinking it's scary, but it's fun to watch. And I haven't really watched any other Mummy movies, so it's technically the best Mummy movie for me, and I know people probably wouldn't like that. None was horrible. It was boring. I was disappointed because at least the Conjuring stuff was like decentish, but this was just a boring movie on the level of the new Insidious movie. So it's kind of sucky how a lot of the recent like horror movies, like the really big ones, just suck dick. I shouldn't say that, but you know, it's just bad. Omen, I kind of talked about it before. I'm fine with giving it a 6 because it didn't scare me. The Orphanage was pretty good. Good twist, good stuff. I think it was Spanish too. Spanish horror movies are killing it. They might be like my second favorite to Japanese. That or Korean, but yeah, good shit. Purge, Home Invasion, didn't care. Interesting plot, but didn't build on it. Anarchy actually built on it, so I was pretty satisfied with Anarchy. I think it kind of lost me like later. Like I'm more interested in seeing people surviving the night, not all the political stuff about it. I guess that's what like this is kind of a carbon copy, again going for the more political angle, and I just don't really care about politics as much. I'm more interested in the surviving the night sort of thing. So yeah, meh. I mentioned this that I think the Ring remake is probably just as good as the original. I think they did a great job at it. The Ring 2 sucked, and obviously they couldn't do the Ring 0 because in this one the person's a kid, so it doesn't actually just work with how the Ring 0 works. The Shining. Hey, everyone loves The Shining, right? Yeah. It says a masterpiece. I'm fine with saying it's a masterpiece. I didn't give it a 9 because it didn't. I guess I didn't. I don't know. I'm fine with giving it a 9, but I just don't think it really like hits all the horror notes that I personally have. But I absolutely love this movie. Silence of the Lambs is pretty good. I don't like it as much as other people like it, but again, cannibalism, spooky. But the cannibal was just like not too scary for me. I always thought he was being a little too dramatic, so it was kind of weird. But I thought the actual main villain, oh, I forgot his name. But you know, the guy who made the furniture, or the dresses and stuff out of skin, I thought he was pretty terrifying. And the climax with him was pretty great. So I'm fine with that. This one's a meme. There's like one infamous scene that people love, but the rest of it's kind of whatever. It's a fine movie though. I don't hate it. Thing's amazing. I love it. I watched it like 3 times. It really does a great job. Again, I guess this is probably what sort of created my fear of monsters hiding as people, is this movie. And again, it's a good survival movie where you see people's mental shift because of the dangerous situation and how you can't really trust anyone from it. So, solid movie. I know most people probably watched it. It's great. Remake sucks. I mean, it's consistent. Like, that's the best thing, is how like consistent it is with the thing. But the CG was ass. Tingler, probably the last Vincent Price movie I watched. I thought it was kind of worse than the other 2. The monster is pretty lame. Like, the idea itself is cool, but when you look at the monster, it's just like a big millipede or whatever. I didn't care too much about it, but Vincent Price carried it for me and probably elevated to a 6 when it should probably be a 5. Void was alright. It was kind of cool, sort of like Lovecraftian sort of thing. I didn't care too much about it. The Wailing's a great Korean movie. Probably like the second best for me personally to Tale of Two Sisters. It's sort of kind of like a zombie movie, but it's just good in general. You'll probably love it. I love it. I like The Witch. I know this is kind of divisive. Some people love it, some people hate it. Again, I usually like the ideas of witches in general. Obviously, to me it loses points for being too realistic in the language, because sometimes it's hard to hear. I didn't listen to it with subtitles. But all in all, I thought it was pretty solid. I appreciated it a lot. I thought the climax was really cool, and I'll definitely see his Lighthouse movie whenever I have the chance. Woman in Black, I haven't watched the old one, but this one kind of sucked. Again, I kind of explained. Modern horror movie stuff, jump scares, twists. Actually, I don't think this one had a twist. It had the Harry Potter guy. I just didn't care about it. I like this movie. It's very minimalist. You probably haven't heard of it because it's like pretty low budget, but it's a really good psychological thriller, or not even thriller, just a psychological horror movie. And if you're into like that purely, because it's not really scary, there's not too many jump scares at all almost. It's just to see like 2 characters' mentals going through like this situation is. And it's pretty great. I think it's good. I'm actually fine with giving it a 7, but I'm fine with this also. Thinner Sucks. Sorry, Stephen King. 3 Extremes was pretty good. It's a trilogy from, I think there's like 1 Korean, 1 Japanese, and 1 Chinese one. The Chinese one was The Dumplings, and I believe it became a full film, though I haven't watched it. One's like Box, and the other one's like, I forgot what the last one's called, Cutter. It's pretty great. I think I thoroughly enjoyed all of them. I think the Japanese one was a little too confusing for me, but Chinese one was solid and the Korean one was pretty terrifying. The Japanese one was really odd, so there you go. Solid anthology movie. Recommend it. Tomy movies. It was kind of comfy, but it wasn't good. I love Tomy. Again, Ito Junji's a great author. Didn't really resonate with me. Same with Tommy too. Honestly, I laughed a lot more at Tommy because of how ridiculously weird it was than than being scared. I gave Train to Busan a 6. Fight me. I don't give a shit about zombies, and I didn't think it was that good. Tremors was funny. You know, I mean, I guess underground creatures. I thought the plot was pretty fine. Freaking Kevin Bacon though, my boy. Trick or Treat. I think this one's a little overrated. Actually, like I showed it to my cousins and they thought it sucked, but like the best part of this movie for me was the transformation scene. You probably know what it is because it was really well done. Other than that, it's kind of whatever. Holy shit, we're almost done. My voice is giving out. Wait. Am I dumb? How do I change the page? Whew. Oh. Oh yeah. I'm dumb. 18 more dies. Troll Hunter. Ooh. Is Troll Hunter overrated? No, I love Troll Hunter. It's kind of. Is it found footage? I'm having a hard time remember, but it was fine. It's kind of low budget. But I think you'll enjoy it. It's different. Don't go into it thinking of like your normal found footage stuff. I think it's pretty unique. I forgot what language it is. It's some sort of Swedish, like around that area sort of language. Unfriended. It's alright. I would have given it lower because I didn't really care about it, but it's pretty unique in its format, so I was pretty impressed with that. But that being said, Dark Web's again uses the same format, which is fine, but I thought its direction of edgy, spooky dark web people was less interesting than Ghost. I thought Us was pretty crap. That might be controversial, but it just wasn't. Like it was really well. Oh, maybe I could give it a 6 and I wouldn't be mad about it, but it just wasn't. There's no scary moments in it. It was more like a comedy action thing. Like I thought it's like it started off really strong, but as it went on, I just didn't care. And the twist was so obvious. Like I guessed the twist like so early in the movie. It was, I don't know. I think one of the lamest things in a movie in general is having a super obvious twist. And that was it. It was just meh. To me, I didn't personally like it as much. VHS series, I thought the original was really great. I'm definitely highballing it, but like the first story from the original was so good. Like I really love that story. I know they made sort of a standalone version, but I didn't check it out. Two was pretty good. Like the Filipino one. Filipino story was probably my favorite from two, and I don't remember Viral at all, except it being kind of shit. So there's Viral. Vampire Hunter D and Bloodlust. I like Bloodlust a lot more. D just wasn't my stuff. And then it was pretty old, so I wasn't too big a fan of the animation at the time, and D just had a more interesting story for me. Both kind of romantic stuff, so you might like it. And again, vampires, guys. Vampires are the best. Veronica's pretty overrated. Some people were like, this is one of the best new horror movies. People are fainting. I feel like you see that for almost every horror movie, though. And it just was pretty average for me. I guess this is the first like kind of mess Spanish movie, huh? Wicked City is a meme. I didn't like it at all. It's just like a softcore porn horror thing. I don't know. It's not porn actually, but like it just wasn't impressive. Wolf Creek. It's pretty much a classic slasher by now. What is it? Isn't this like a New Zealand movie or something? No, Australian. Though it might have been filmed in New Zealand. I could be wrong. Didn't care about it too much. I thought it was good for what it is, but in my slashers, I guess, which again I don't like slashers too much, but I guess the slashers I tend to like more are have some tinge of like, I don't know. Nothing really carried the movie for me. Like the villain was interesting, but I didn't care too much about it, right? Uranette definitely didn't care about it. Home Invasion movie sucked, guys. I just hate it. Zombie Strippers was a meme. Zombieland was pretty good. I was gonna watch the new one, but apparently it's really shit. I'll still watch it eventually, but I just don't care about it enough. Oh no, why is the Rets over here? Ret 3 was decent. It could actually be a sit. It's just like, I don't know. It's like almost a combination of the first two Ret movies, but it's not that good. And Ret 4 is actually like an abomination and should have never been made because that movie's freaking ass. And I don't have any idea how that's actually rated higher than Ret 3 because that movie's fucking terrible. I hated every ounce of that movie. I don't know why. It killed the series for sure, right? And Ret 2, I'd give it a 6. It could be a 7. Ret 2, like, it's Ret 2, honestly, is almost like Ret, and Ret 2 is almost like Alien and Aliens 2. While Ret, again, is like almost a survival sort of found footage thing, while Ret 2 is like gun down, kill all the zombies with the SWAT team boys. I didn't like it as much, but I thought it was pretty solid. I know some people will like it more, but again, I'm more into the horror survival stuff than the horror action stuff. And there you go. Pretty long video, I know. Hopefully you enjoyed. I kind of did speed up, so if you do have any questions about specific movies, you can always ask me. I'll probably like try to look deeper into it if you think I like scammed or overrated something. And of course, if you have any recommendations, I'll probably put it on my list or of what to watch, or maybe I have watched it and I just missed it on the list because again, there's a lot of horror movies that I watch and I just can't remember them all. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed this Halloween special, and hopefully you have a fun Halloween if you're watching this on Halloween, and if you're watching after, then I hope you had a fun Halloween. Anyways, bye for now. Sorry for all the cuts, just again recording this in the daytime, so a lot of interruptions. But yeah, see you soon. Oh, also if you're new here, haven't been here and somehow just got to this, we do visual novel readings, and I know it's probably not your cup of tea, but I do review videos, or I'm planning to, and I will be reviewing some horror stuff, just like horror novels, specifically the Perfect Blue novel. I'm planning to do a review when I finish that, and maybe like some other stuff. And I am reading visual novels, and Higurashi is a pretty good horror novel, so if you are interested in a new thing, you can always pick that up yourself or watch me read it so you don't have to buy it. Wink, wink. Anyways, thanks for watching. Bye.